Losses on the Eastern Front have been increasing over the general offensive that has been launched throughout autumn, and with the onset of winter, deep snow and freezing temperatures, it is time to let the engineers catch up, establish supply lines, and let the army dig in for winter for the time being. And we will just destroy some encircled Russian divisions here, but in general, we will call a temporary halt on the front lines and make some improvements to our general structure of divisions, because the combat casualties are causing concern at home at this point, to the point that the willingness of the German civilian population to support the war further is being decreased. So, under light of this situation, let's take a look at the various administrative things that need doing. First of all, the Infantry Division A, the Infantry Division A, really could do with some field hospitals because we don't have any. So let's duplicate that, and we're going to call that Infantry Division B, and we will equip them. Let's see, what else are they missing? They don't have, they have AA artillery, definitely field hospital. They don't have recon, but I think they'll be all right. Giving them a second artillery is going to, a second line artillery is going to significantly improve their soft attack with an okay hit to organization. So we'll save that. So that'll turn it into a 24 with infantry division, which is going to need additional trucks, but that's one reason, and that means we can decommission the old one. That's one reason we have a sizable stockpile of trucks at this point, although I think it has been decreasing lately. So let's see, how many factories do we have on trucks at this point? Yeah, we probably want a few more. Come on, bring that up to 5. And we do have some free factories anyway. The situation in France has been resolved by diplomatic means, and we are currently controlling Northwest Africa, except for remainders of legation city troops who are fighting in the area. Which we are in the process of clearing out. So we might need a few divisions to go around south and deal with the remaining legation city troops and the Australasian troops that are still operating in the area. And who is Nigeria? Who's Nigeria? Nigeria is in the Entente, so there are more wars to fight in the south. All right, let's we'll clear out the. These are Fremden Legion troops. We'll clear that out. So Afrika Expedition can already make its way. Well, we do need to deal with Spain. So probably that's going to be the first. That's going to be the first task for the Africa division. Africa expedition to take Tangiers and secure the passage into the Mediterranean, and then we will send the Foreign Legion south to clear out the remaining possessions here and to deal with Nigeria. How is Liberia? Is Entente? Gold Coast is Entente. So there's still some Entente. There's still some Entente territory in the south that we need to deal with. In terms of Air Force, I think some reorganization is necessary, but we'll do that once all the encirclements have been cleared, and we do need to sort out the supply first as well. We are short on supply here. There is a Nizhny Novgorod. There's a supply hub south of the city, which we need to take and Simbersk is severely overloaded. So let's send some of von Kluge's troops simply to take the supply hub, and we will build some improvements to make sure. And then nothing here has supply either. Yep. This is all supplied out of Moscow. Actually, there are no supply. There's a supply position in Yaroslavl, which is also completely overloaded. So supply along the front line is a problem. We can send whatever infantry is available to support Guderian's little expedition here and ensure that the last remaining Russian troops are being cleared out in the region. And then, yeah, we will need to reestablish the front lines. We don't really have troops in the north, and the lines have become a little fractured, and we are going to leave some of this work to the Ottomans or the Ukrainians. Ottomans are controlling territory north of Georgia, so we'll stabilize the front lines here. However, von Manstein might continue pushing through Finland simply because the Finns have at this point are posing absolutely no resistance. So where's the Finnish government moved into? Not entirely certain, actually. We don't have accurate information. So intelligence is another issue that we do need to sort out. So we'll just continue with the destruction of Finnish positions, and then we'll see if we can get Finland to capitulate before the end of the year and before the winter sets on in earnest. As long as we don't get any significant resistance, then that's all good. So if Finland can capitulate, that would be grand. Sweden has taken over vast parts in the north. All right. Next step, we need to sort out the supply situation on the front, where we are actually running into quite significant supply issues. So let's begin with the Yaroslavl supply hub, and I think also here we need to ensure that we are going to connect the railway lines here, and yeah, we'll be wiping out the encirclement there. This position looks more precarious. Don't think there is a particularly large amount of things we can do here, short of maybe shortening the lines a little. So let's see if we have some relatively exhausted divisions here, but then the Russians are exhausted as well. So let's see if we can at least correct the front line. And yeah, we are sending von Kluge to take the supply hub. That might assist, but Simbirsk needs to be improved as well. The railway connection is not enough to supply from von Kluge's tanks for any further offensive operations. And in the south, the supply situation. Okay, the Tsaritsyn is a vital supply hub. Maybe we have some troops in the area that can take it. Let's see. I think we only have a few infantry divisions available, but we will give it a try. Now we do want to go through the northern position. We'll see if we can push the Russians out of Tsaritsyn before winter sets on, before the onset of winter, and we'll bring some additional infantry in, and there we go. It's another division here. And just maintain the attack. The Russians are reinforcing Tsaritsyn, so they are aware of the critical position that they're in. So we are going to wait for additional troops to arrive, while the Russian cavalry is launching a major counterattack against the attacking troops. We are occupying territory, and as usual, this causes trouble. We underestimated the amount of resources and men such a colossal project requires, and we are losing 1,000 manpower, 10 political power, and 2% war support. War support is increasingly becoming an issue, so very soon we are going to have to take a break, also to mollify the frontline positions at home, to ensure that we are not ensure that we are not overstretching the goodwill of the citizenry. But we'll keep an eye and see if we can get the troops to counterattack. We do have a fair amount of divisions here now. Once the cavalry attack has been defeated, then we will join the assault on Tsaritsyn. One of the divisions, the 14th Königlich Bayerische, has to retreat, but the other exhausted divisions are joining the assault, and we might need some Luftwaffe support over the area. So let's see if we can get. We do have the Kampfschulgeschwader ready. I will send them over on close air support over the Caspian area, and we might have a few. Yeah, we've got a few bomber wings in the north. We don't have any airports in the. That's another problem. We do need to improve the forward air bases. So we'll draw one of the air wings over and assist with the attack in Tsaritsyn, where we do need to take the supply hub. In North Africa, we've cleared out the position. We've cleared out that position, which means that the Fremdenlegion is now going to swing south and deal with Entente positions. So let's begin along the coastline, really, and take out the Portuguese holdings here. So we'll send the troops south, while the rest of the divisions is moving on Spain, and we do have another Spanish holding here. So we might just divert 2 divisions quickly to deal with that. How's the battle for Tsaritsyn going? Are we getting air support yet? We are getting air support. So hopefully the entrenched defenders in the city can be dislodged, despite the fact that the German troops are cold, hungry, and short on ammunition and other equipment. So definitely there we go. Tsaritsyn is falling, and with that I think we have taken the last important position. We have secured the Nizhny Novgorod supply hub, and now it's just a matter of securing the line. There's still some Russian divisions encircled that are being taken care of by Guderian's tanks, and we get some infantry to assist with matters as well. So now it's time to clear up the front lines. We have encircled another Finnish division in the north that can be wiped out. Clear out the front lines, and see if we can get Finland to capitulate before the serious onset of winter. Yeah, I think Finland is about to capitulate, and we'll see if they have any further urban centers. There is the town of Zavonlina that we can't quite get to. Okay, that seems to be a lake position. There are lots of lakes in Finland. So let's move north towards Kuopio, and I think we'll keep taking Finnish holdings and positions until the government decides that stops being stubborn and decides that this war is truly lost. So troops on the move. We've got some infantry here that we can use to just push the Finns out further, and motorized divisions on the assault as well. There we go. We have taken. We have destroyed the last remaining Finnish division on the coast that was holding a position there, and I think Finland is going to go and capitulate. All right, so frontline revamp. The Air Force needs to be grounded for now, except for basic operations, and then we are settling in for the winter. So let's see. Let's begin with the Fourth Army. How many trucks would we need to change that? We need 1,000 artillery pieces. We are actually running a little short on artillery, and only 600 trucks. We've got sufficient trucks for that. So, but artillery we are going to need a bit more. So let's get these changed over, because they are no longer part of offensive operations for now. So they can all be used up for that. And we are look at the artillery. We've got 10 factories on artillery, so we should be, we are starting to run a little low on artillery. That is quite interesting. We are seeming to be losing a lot of it, so we might need a few more. Let's put it up to 15. We do have a few factories due to the occupied territory that we're currently using. So let's put it up to 15. We can convert some from the stockpile, but that is very briefly going to speed up, but not going to help, because stockpiles are already going into the field. So artillery production needs to be ramped up. Of the 17 centimeter Mörserlafette, the 170 millimeter mortar, and we are trading a little short on tungsten and chromium. So let's fix that as well since we're here. Where can we get tungsten? Germany, East Asia, we are already getting tungsten. So let's get that, although this goes by sea route. That said, we could trade with the Burmese over land. That, interestingly enough, not with Germany, East Asia, but that'll give us access to a large amount of tungsten. So no problem here. Chromium, we are getting whatever Middle Africa is having available, but our Swedish brothers can. Oh no, we're already taking on all chromium from the Swedes. South Africa still has more to deliver, but Germany, East Asia again can be economically supported by simply trading these resources to us. All right, the armies are digging in. And we probably don't have enough artillery pieces available to convert von Manstein's 9th Army as well. So they will be holding on for now as they are, and we'll just get everything sorted. All right, the new strategic layout after some reorganization. We will have von Leeb's 4th Army holding the northern flank. All the way. We're not going to cover the Baltic duchies. That we can leave to Allied troops. We're going to hold the northern flank. Von Kluge will be sent towards. Von Kluge will be sent north as well, and as part of Unternehmen Friedrich, is going to cut the railway towards Kazan and push to close on Nizhny Novgorod. Whereas Guderian is actually replacing von Kluge for the main assault onto Kazan once the temperatures have dropped somewhat, and once we're having all the infrastructure and everything laid out. And then we've got the 9th Army under von Manstein, who is covering the southern flank all the way to Tsaritsyn. And we'll leave the rest to Allied forces in the south. But minimizing German casualties is the name of the game at this point. So given that the troops are digging in, we're going to change von Manstein's divisions over to the Infantry Division B as well, where we're definitely having enough trucks to make this happen. So that should hopefully reduce the amount of casualties we're seeing at the front and the impact that it has on our war support, which is steadily declining. So having a break on the intense fighting on the Eastern Front to sort out all the issues. Next up, supply routes. So Yaroslavl is definitely undersupplied, which means we are going to need to improve the railway connection, which we're already doing. So Moscow should be reasonably well connected, and just checking that there's nothing that's holding back Moscow itself. So let's see if there's anything coming out of that. Yeah, Moscow, Tula, and of course Kharkiv need to be done as well. So let's get these scheduled. That gives the industry something to do. and then Yaroslavl should be at maximum potential. We can potentially also improve the infrastructure in the area, which we are already doing. So that can take priority as well, and making sure that the local infrastructure can support the troops on the ground. Next up, we have the newly captured supply hub here. Let's ensure that we can't do that yet. Let's ensure that the railway lines are at their maximum potential, and definitely that we are getting the railway connection towards, this needs to be upgraded significantly. And we also need to improve the local infrastructure, unfortunately, which we are already doing. So these infrastructure projects are going to be very important once we are done with the railway connections. So that should sort out the northern flank. I thought we'd had. Oh, the Russians seem to have pushed us back out of Tsaritsyn. I'm not sure about that. Let's retake it. So definitely making sure that we are holding Tsaritsyn, and that we are getting the supply hub under control here. So let's move over into that position, ensure that the troops hold the city, and there we go. The city of Tsaritsyn has been an important center of transportation and commercial activity due to its location. Despite explosive population growth, the city's poor conditions had turned it into a hotbed of revolutionary activity. During the Russian Civil War, the town became the site of an important battle and siege. And likewise, history repeats itself once more, as the city has once again become a battlefield. Large parts of the city lay in ruins, as bitter urban warfare and aerial bombardments have reduced much of the urban centers into ruin. Despite a near fanatical resistance from the Russian forces, the German army announced today that the city has fallen into their hands. All right, so there we go. Tsaritsyn is being held. Actually, there were Georgian troops moving into place. So now that that's the case, we can improve the railway connections, because that is going to be needing. And we can't do that from here yet because we're not official. We have to wait for the lines to be improved. So, well, we'll deal with that once Tsaritsyn has been secured. The southern front is none of our concern in terms of supply, but that should hopefully organize the supply in the south. The positions along this line here are struggling as well. And part of that is going to be the winter situation, but didn't we? Oh, they have retaken the. They seem to have retaken the. Okay, we're not going to be having with that. We are definitely holding that supply position. So let's push forward again. Towns are changing hands rapidly. Meanwhile, Finland has capitulated, which is not surprising. So Finland has been cleared. Some Russian positions are left that we will clear out. But glory to von Mackensen, because he has single-handedly taken down Finland in winter. All right, great news. And we are going to use von Mackensen's troops that are available here to wipe out the last remaining Russian positions, and make sure that we've got Finnish territory under our control. Then it becomes a question of supply once more, and see where we are going to position the defense lines. There is a supply hub in the east, so I think we are actually going to be positioned reasonably well, and we'll give von Mackensen's divisions a proper front line once everyone is where they should be. And I think we'll just need to delete that one. There we go. Okay, so once everything is cleared out, then we'll draw a proper front line against Russia on the Finnish front, and then as von Mackensen as well can begin digging in, and we'll deal with the supply situation when it comes to that. All right, so Finland is in the works. There's a single. Actually, no, there are 8 Russian divisions left here. and it looks like most of the troops are moving out. There is a further Russian encirclement in the north, but honestly, this is out of our scope here. We're going to leave that for the Allied troops to deal with. If they want to continue offensive operations in winter, then I'm more than happy to have that. All right, so we have to deal with the fate of all the occupied territories in the Mediterranean, and I think that's about it. So let's see what. Okay, everybody wants to send us material support. I will decline that because we are, unless they don't require convoys. So anything that can be done without convoys, I am very much happy to take. But the convoys are needed elsewhere for trade. So definitely not going to get large amounts of convoys involved here, but the other ones I'm happy to take. Dornier, we have another available. I don't think there's much that we can still actually do on Dornier. This is for transport planes only. This is a naval attack. I think that's the last one we can actually take because everything else has been taken, so we may as well. And that's Dornier done. We have the French, where the former French Navy, now organized into the second Schlachtgeschwader, part of the Atlantic Flotte under Admiral Bastian. And they are, where are they currently? They're docked in East Prussia, so they definitely need to be moving into the Iberian theater. So we will be sending them to Casablanca, and maybe. And they will be getting the strike force task of the African coast and the Iberian theater to ensure that any kind of Spanish or other Entente operations are not going to succeed. And for that, I would love them to actually move towards probably Casablanca if we can. Okay, not going to an Allied port. How about Bordeaux then? All right. Well, they will move out. Oh, they're actually on interception. That's why. Okay, so they are intercepting a group of presumably. No, this is us chasing away submarines. Presumably a task force. Is it this one? No, they're engaging someone else. So they are chasing down Spanish shipping operating in the area. All right, we have some encirclements here in the Spanish front. So let's ensure that these get cleaned up as well, and that we are maintaining the front lines. But Spain looks. We will definitely continue fighting in Spain. But Spain looks increasingly weakened, so that should not be a big issue. And we are also clearing out the last Spanish holdings in North Africa here. So that's all. Tangiers is supposed to be is about to fall, and our submarines, despite being intercepted by Spanish escort ships, are still managed to sink a lot of Spanish convoys in the area. Yes, definitely. So submarines are very successful in their raids, and Ottoman shipping is assisting in naval battles as well. So I'm just checking if there are any other major naval forces engaged in the area that we need to worry about. There are some Spanish light escort groups, but nothing major. Otherwise, more Spanish shipping in the mid-Atlantic. Haven't seen much in terms of Canadian or similar. So that's everything else. Everything else is relatively calm in the Atlantic, and we actually had the first battle in the South China Sea where I didn't pay attention. We have sunk the Yahagi, a Japanese cruiser, and 11 destroyers. So the first victory for the battle groups, and that would have been the third taking care of this. And we will see if there are any other naval battles that we need to check. We're still chasing after these Australasian, after this Australasian shipping. There are a couple of naval invasions that I'm not sure from who or where, but we'll deal with it when it comes to it. Cuba is actually still fighting, still resisting the Americans. So still a lot of fighting going on the continent, but nothing else navally that we need to worry about right now. We do have 3 dockyards, but I believe that is probably temporary due to the fact that we are occupying some territory for now. However, we may as well put them to good use for the time being. We're just going to build another line of the Type 9B submarines, since we have nothing really else to use these dockyards for. But politically, now that I think we are getting to the point that we have sorted most of the things, politically, the Air Force still I have to organize, but we are going to probably send some assets from the Eastern Front to the Western Front to deal with the conquest of Spain. We don't have any current operations running. We're still working on decrypting the Russian ciphers, which are in very good shape and hard to crack. But I think let's take a look at our agents and see where they are occupied, because I think we might have some resistance issues. So rooting out resistance, Iceland. We've still got increasing resistance in Denmark again. So let's send Giscus to Denmark to deal with that. And then we have we do need to rescue Simone Leboeuf. She has gotten herself captured again. So let's make that happen. As it turns out, the whereabouts of Agent Leboeuf are unknown. She has last been seen operating in Africa. And unfortunately, at this point, the French government has capitulated. So we actually have no information where she might be held, and as such, have no way of actually sending a rescue operation out, because we have no intelligence at all where she might be. So it looks like this might have been the last mission of Agent Leboeuf, unless she can escape her captors or in some way let us know where she is being held. We are scouring the former French territory, but it is entirely possible that she is being held somewhere in an African prison that we have no knowledge of, and the continent is vast. So unfortunately, there's probably very little we can do about this. All right. Do we have more? Where else do we have resistance to work with? We do have obviously resistance in Finland, and we have some resistance in the Faroe Islands, but nothing major. But Finland needs to be dealt with, so we are going to send Poljakova to Finland, to Helsinki, to deal with resistance, and we probably want to send one of our new recruits along with her, just to the north, to ensure that resistance doesn't spread. So that's under control. Any other resistance we need to worry about? Oh yeah, North Africa as well. So we definitely are going to need operatives in Africa. Let's see. Currently we have these two operating in India. He is in Quebec, Franz Schulze, which is we've got two operatives in Quebec, which is kind of necessary as well. And we have one in Massachusetts. Oh, that is actually in New England. That is not actually in Canada. That is a fair point. We no longer need, New England has changed sides, so we can send him probably. Canada is an awful lot of nothing, really. We'll send him to Toronto. So that's sorted. And then we have Josef Schmidt operating in Russia. I think we'll send him to Africa. to deal with the resistance over there. Actually, he is probably not the best suited. He is a German national after all, so we might instead send him to India and trade with. We'll send him to Calcutta because we have Olanrevayu Laval, who is a Nigerian, who is much more suited towards African operations. So we'll send him to Africa to deal with the situation there. And I think all in all, the occupation is under relatively good control. We have a fair amount of collaboration already happening in Africa. So hopefully, we will decide the fate of Africa as we go. That'll be the next big operation here that we're going to be doing. All right, let's start from the top. The fate of Algeria. Let's get that going. All right, we freed Algeria from the French tyrants in Algiers. What should we do? We could liberate Algeria. Then Algeria becomes an independent state, nominally independent, but under very much political control of Berlin. We could give it to the French, and I think honestly, the French have ruled North Africa for long enough. I think independence at this point. We shall be liberating Algeria. That also solves the resistance problem. So we might not actually have to send somebody there. We will liberate Algeria, and they shall become a similar to Middle Africa, part of the African colonial sphere of influence. So Algeria shall be liberated. All right, there we go. Next up, we have the fate of Senegambia. Okay, where would Senegambia be? I'm assuming that it's this kind of combination of Senegal and Gambia, so this kind of area here. Let's see what we're going to do here. The port of Dakar, formerly the most important port of French West Africa, has fallen in our repeated assaults, and with it the full colony of Senegal, including the 4 French communes, fell. But with this change of ownership came more problems, as the skilled French administrators left the territory, leaving us with an organizational void. Should we create a loyal satellite here, or to alleviate our problems? Okay, we could do a couple of things. So let's see what we're going to be doing here. We can form the state of Senegambia and make it part of the Central African Coalition. We could give it to the French. No, that's not happening. The French are out of Africa. We could give it to the Middle Africa. We could give it to Middle Africa to control. I think that's actually a good that is a good option, because Middle Africa already has Middle Africa might need some assistance as well. There are parts here that are controlled by Portugal, quite a few, that might need some assistance. Middle Africa has administrative experience in the region. So given that all the French administrators have left, just releasing all of them might foment more independence movements in the future. So if we can, I think giving Middle Africa control over that is a good thing. So that part is now controlled by Middle Africa, which is might actually fall due to colonial invasions from the Entente. But the African wars are continuing, really, and I think Middle Africa might actually need some assistance. So before we continue there, let's have a quick look and see what Middle Africa is in need of. Airplanes, mostly. They seem to have everything else, really. Do they have the manpower? They are relatively low on manpower, so we might send them some planes. I think that would be a good move. Let's see. We've got some outdated equipment that we can just send over. So I'm just going to clear out some of the older. We've got some tactical bombers. We might, but fighter old Bf-109s we can send, and a few Bf-110s we can send them over. Do we have a lot of foreign equipment probably, but I think the enemy air forces have been so comprehensively ground down that we might actually not even have any. We do have some, so we'll send whatever foreign equipment we still have over as well, and then they can make use of them in Africa. We might need to actually support the African operations a little bit more directly, but let's send them some equipment for now. All right, back to things. Guinea, the fate of Guinea, and I think that is another case of giving Middle Africa control. Although that also means. That means that Middle Africa is actually losing stability and war support. We do not want to destabilize Middle Africa too much. So we will see. We might actually need to. We can probably not overload them too much here, because that'll just cause Middle Africa to collapse on the long term. So Guinea will be liberated. There's too much resistance. There's too much resistance to maintain that. So Guinea is going to be liberated. Sierra Leone, and I think we will just going to have to create a new states here. Sierra Leone will be a new state. Côte d'Ivoire. Yeah, we do not want to overload Middle Africa. They can have a little bit of territory, but just to bring some administrative. Some administrative competency over, but Ivory Coast is going to be liberated. Mauritania, same thing. Mauritania is liberated. Niger, yeah, and Chad as well. State of Chad. Malta in the Mediterranean. That is an interesting one. Let's see what we can do with Malta. We could hand Malta over to the Italians, but Malta is a very strategic position in the Mediterranean. As such, I think, we will release Malta independently. Not trusting the Italian Federation too much at this point. And Corsica. Corsica is an interesting case. I think Corsica probably. We can probably hand Corsica to the Italians, yes, but I am not sure that the locals would appreciate that much. So I think Corsica will be handed over to France instead, and we will maintain the status quo there. All right, so that's the situation in Africa completed. We still are apparently holding certain areas directly, so there still might be a need for operatives to deal with resistance. Probably Tunis is the more critical one. We are holding Tunis at this point, and we'll see if we can hand that over to anyone. Maybe Timbuktu can be handed over to Mauritania. That might be. We'll see if we can. We'll see if we can actually. If we can actually do that. No, we cannot. All right. So. All right, well, we have sorted out for now the situation in Africa. Middle Africa is struggling a little against various Entente scenarios, and it looks like Ethiopia is struggling as well. So the African troops currently are going to have to wait because we are busy elsewhere. And we are not sending another expedition out. However, we could send von Manstein actually to Africa. Von Mackensen, because he is kind of done in Finland. However, he will need to hold the Finnish front against the Russians. So yeah, that much is sure. We are not going to be able to. We're not going to be able to relieve him anytime soon. So. Unless Sweden has taken everything over, and then we can send them south. But for now, we'll leave it as is, and we are going to need a few additional infantry divisions to clear this out. Okay, so we've dealt with that situation, and we are going to continue fighting in India now that the troops Paulus's troops have returned. Where are my marine divisions? Let's have a look. Where are they? There should be. These are still actually in Finland. They're no longer needed there anymore as well. So we can see what we do with them next. But we should have some marine divisions under Halder. They're still moving in. Okay, they're still moving into position. So Halder's troops are not yet there. So Pacific Theater remains that we are searching for the Japanese Navy, and we are battling for supremacy of the South China Sea. In terms of air, we are going to build an airbase in Simbirsk, just to allow forward operations from there into the final push towards Transvolga. I think that's probably going to be the final push that it'll take for Russia to capitulate. But just to be certain, we can also build an airport in the Yaroslavl region. Not a radar. Well, we can do that as well, but I would like an airbase. There we go. So improve the airbase in Yaroslavl to ensure that we can also cover the north if needed. In the Spanish area, we are short of a viable airbase. It's not really, actually. We have an airbase here that if we take it, we actually could support everything. So we might not need to do much here. How does it look like supply-wise in Spain? Supply looks decent. However, we do need to capture the railways. And once we take the airbase here, then in the Basque area, then we should have enough to support the further operations here. So we will need to clear the railway and then take the airbase. That's the next strategic target in Spain. Barcelona is somewhat overloaded here at this point, but that should all be good. How does it look airbase wise in Africa? Where do we control territory from which we can operate, actually, rather than having to fly in? Not many air bases here, and the problem is that none of this territory is secure. So it's entirely possible that Entente forces are going to overrun that. We'll have to secure territory first before we start building up air bases. The supply lines in Africa are usually terrifyingly bad, but we should have a French railway somewhere that was going from, yeah, there it is. That's going from Oran. So that railway is still being captured, and we will see once that gets that got disconnected because they have taken the supply positions in the desert here. That is unfortunate. All right, we'll deal with it when it gets to it. Troops will be moved to Africa, but for now we will leaving our allies to deal with that mess. And lastly, that leaves me with reorganizing the air force a little bit, because it has become a bit of a mess in the ongoing fighting. I think some of the scout wings are a little bit under from accidents, a little bit understaffed. So how are we on? We probably have a bit of a shortage on scout plane. Yeah, we've got 70. We're a bit short on scout planes. How many are we producing? Can we just refurbish a couple of old planes from stockpile into into scout planes? Yes, we can. So that'll double the production. So let's do that. We are short, a little short on flak panzers, so we can convert some of the T-34s, or we could convert them into Waffenträger units as well. Which one are we going to? Yeah, Waffenträgers are more short. So let's convert the T-34s into Waffenträger units and make sure that these are going. All right, Air Force. So we are going to need the Russian Air Force. The Russian Air Force is not really active anymore. There are a few planes in Western Russia active, so we are going to need some fighter wings here in the area. So let's get. We have the tactical bombers, heavy fighters. Okay, so we can. Do we have a better airbase position? Well, we can send them north to Petrograd and make sure we are controlling, with these heavy fighters, we are controlling the air here. Everything else is just going to stay on the ground for now. And we are once some of the scout planes actually have become available. We've got more fighter wings in Germany that can train up. But we've got a few naval patrol wings that we can actually probably more direct towards the Spanish area. So we'll get these to move. To Brest, and then from there they can cover the Bay of Biscay. I am going to need. We've got some fighter wings over Maghreb, which we don't need anymore in the area. So they can for now. Well, we'll leave them there for now for future African operations. And we've got some tactical bomber wings in the south here, which are not needed here anymore either. So yeah, I'll consolidate this all, and we'll concentrate the air forces in the newly constructed air bases. In the newly constructed forward air bases once they become available. We've got tactical bomber support in Bengal. So for the next Indian operations, that'll be essential. And we might need an air base in Papua New Guinea for future Pacific. We have an air base actually. So. That should be fine. From there we can operate. So we can start moving air forces into the Pacific as well. And we are chasing Spanish convoys, I believe. Some naval planes to start hunting for some naval scout planes to start hunting for the Japanese might not be bad. So let's see if we can create. Where do we have the naval scout planes? The Condors, where are they? There they are. So we can probably let's get 5 wings of Condors established, and we'll distribute them. Along the lines here, and they can assist with finding the Japanese fleet. All right, we are running a little short on fuel with all the fleet operations currently, so we might need to trade for more oil again. Who is available for trading for oil? We could trade with the Ukrainians. That would probably make sense, although they don't give us an awful lot in terms of trade benefits. However, it's pretty much the alternative would be Azerbaijan, who we were already training. So we trade some oil from the Ukrainians. Let's send 3 factories over just to ensure that our fuel reserves don't get depleted. All right, Finland situation resolved, and with that, I think we'll have a very short. Just so it doesn't become a boring episode, we'll have a very short bout of action in Spain, where we are seeing the first destruction of Spanish troops, and the Sierra Leone and Ivory Coast have immediately been taken over by enemy forces. That was to be expected, but troops will need to rush. Troops will need to rush south once we have Tangier secured, and Africa is going to require some attention from us. So definitely an area where we need to do some work. But the first Spanish encirclement in the Pyrenees is being defeated. The Spanish 5 Spanish divisions are not going to get out of there, and with that we have an option to actually make peace with Russia, and I think that is something that we'll discuss in the next episode, because I don't see that we would offer Russia peace, because why would we? We have nothing to gain from this. So all we would achieve is setting Russia up for a potential resurgence. I think Russia needs to be broken up into separate states, and actually I forgot about the Iranians here. Okay, we'll deal with that next episode as well. Russia needs to probably be broken up, and needs to be ensured that they are no longer going to be a threat for any future threats. So I think, and it looks like the Trans-Amur Republic is making great advances in that regard in the east. So that's already a possible scenario. But we'll talk about it in the next episode. That's it for me for today. Thanks everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.